So, it's Baby's first playthrough. You've just booted up the game and you found yourself in a brand new world, not quite sure where to start. You do your best, but slimes are scary, and the world of Terraria is quite unforgiving. In your best efforts, you manage to collect some resources and try to build yourself a nice shelter to keep those nasty zombies, flying eyeballs, and whatever else seems to come at you out of your safety bubble. But under the light of day, it's bland, falling apart, and stinky as hell. That's why I'm here today to help set you on track to building your very own starter base without leaving the comfort and safety of Terraria's safest biome there is, the overworld. Now to get started, let's go over some of the best resources to grab to give yourself the most tools to work with before you get building. In the overworld, your best bet is to stock up on wood, dirt, yes, dirt, clay, stone, and if you happen to find yourself caving, make sure to grab as much iron or lead as you can. Iron or lead can be such an amazing resource to seriously upgrade your base. Now that you're all set up with your resources, and probably a dozen more gravestones, how about we get building? First things first, let's work up from your basic starter box house and go from there. One of the best things you can do for yourself when working on any kind of build is keeping shapes in mind. A more mindful approach to the shapes you use can drastically add character and interest to your build, as well as add to the overall composition. It'll help give yourself more of a skeleton to work with. Oftentimes, we're compelled to start from the bottom and work up, kind of like Legos. But in reality, if you plan out the shell first and then add layers as you go, it'll save you a huge headache later. It also helps with continuity and unity in your house. These are just a few design terms, but trust me, this stuff really helps in the end. In addition, with this specific build, I decided to work with 2-block thick walls and floors because I know we're going to be more limited on our block palette. Doing this makes it easier for us to create contrast, lines, and overall better differentiate colors. If we try doing a lot of texturing on a smaller scale, it tends to make a build look very busy, or noisy if we're using proper terminology. The majority of your time is probably going to be spent around your chests, crafting stations, and NPCs. So for your starter home, why not focus on those 3 things? Chests next to a crafting station will make crafting new resources a breeze, and you can save the hassle of running around looking for materials. Keeping 1 or 2 necessary NPCs close by as well helps streamline the process too. Now that we have, instead of just a simple box, but rather a conglomerate of boxes, how about we take this to the next level? What we're going to do here is probably the most important part, and that's breaking things up with colors and textures to add a lot more detail and interest to the entire project. If you want to do something a little less simple, I highly recommend looking up some reference images of houses or structures you want to imitate. But for the sake of keeping this video very beginner friendly, I'm going to build completely on the fly. For our house here, we're going to start by adding a strong foundation, using different brick and stone type blocks. Then afterwards, we're going to use some stone and fencing to add some accent pieces to these different rooms. Oh, and an additional tip, this is something you can use for all of your building ventures, and I use quite often myself. When building with walls, each wall has its own shape. When you place them side by side and leave a gap, those spaces can overlap to create unique shapes and details. For example, in this build, I will be leaving gaps between stone brick wall and wood wall to make a stair-like effect with the bricks. Then we're going to go a step further and use dirt, clay, and even clay bricks to break up the color and texture of the wooden structure. Ta-da! Here you have some basic boxes taken to the next level. Next up, how about we finish up the exterior of this project? Want to add some roofing? Let's do a very simple roof made out of walls and platforms. There are a million different options when it comes to roofing, so I highly recommend experimenting with this. If you're up for getting some more difficult to gather resources, hay, iron, and mahogany wood make some excellent starting resources for roofing and even other parts of your build. Now that our base is looking pretty fantastic, let's finish this up with some final touches. Furniture. After all, what's a home if it isn't nice and cozy? Using all the materials you've gathered so far, you should be able to craft a variety of awesome furniture pieces that are sure to add a lot of character to your build. Some main ones to name would be a fireplace and chimney, a bed to set your spawn, some seating or dining areas for your NPCs, and maybe a few paintings you've collected on your journey. Lastly, if you put a furniture piece next to your door, it'll prevent rude zombies from barging in at night, but won't hinder your travels whatsoever. Now all that's left is to sit back, admire what you've created, and enjoy the wonderful gem of a game that is Terraria. That is going to do it for today. Thank you all so much for stopping by. If you liked this video, please make sure to leave a like, and if you'd like to support the channel, please consider subscribing if you haven't already. I will see you all in the very near future. Have a wonderful day. Bye!